Yes, it's May 10th, 2016, and I'd like to address this to the people that are so upset about the transgender bill in North Carolina. Um, First, I want to point out that it is to address a law that was put on the books in Charlotte in the council chambers with a 7-2 majority saying that a person who self identifies as transgender would be all that's necessary to allow that person to use the bathroom or use the locker room. Which, really, to be honest with you, the big argument is about the locker room. It's not about the bathrooms. But anyway, the fact is, on February the 23rd, they passed this silly law, and it led to an overreaction on Republicans' fault. They have a tendency to do that. I get that. And it ended up back making it far worse than it probably needed to be. All that needed to be done was to take that law to the state Supreme Court. Nobody would have let that law stand. But the Republicans decided to take this to make it a new law. And again, that law has no chance either. It's just not enforceable. And for those of you that are Republicans that are still harping on this law, I'd like to point out to you a few things. One, the ACLU usually expects everybody to be treated the same. So, are you willing, and believe me, Republicans, you don't usually like to pay taxes, are you willing to spend the millions of dollars to hire police officers to stand outside of public bathrooms to check people's privates? Are you willing to invest in some TSA machines so that you can just walk right through and be able to look at their privates without them having to open their pants? Number three would be the obvious. Do you think the police spend all this time learning, training to protect the citizens just so they could look at your privates going into the bathroom? And I'm sure it's not the high point of their day to sit there and watch some guy doing the pee-pee dance while they're having to look at his privates. Okay? It's really not enforceable. It makes no sense. The Charlotte bill should be kicked out. It should have been taken to the courts, and that is it. It never should have gotten to this point. I blame the Republicans for being silly enough to go running too far to the extreme, as usual. But Charlotte started this. The liberals in Charlotte started this. And the only problem is not that it's not about the transgender issue. It is the fact that all a person has to do is, when asked, I am transgendered. They don't have to prove it. They don't have to say anything else. They just say, I'm transgendered, and nobody can stop them. If a person goes in dressed as a man, that's all he's got to say. Transgendered, that's it. The business has to back off. And the parent who really should have a say into the amount of exposure, of danger these kids are going to face, they deserve that right to be able to go to a business and say, look, this is not acceptable to me. Right now, they don't have that right. It's been taken away from them in Charlotte. And North Carolina is addressing that problem. So I want to make it clear, Charlotte bill is unconstitutional just as much as the North Carolina bill. They both should have never been voted on. They both should have never been put out there. If without some kind of protections for the kids, then it's just plain crazy to think that this bill makes sense. Either bill. Thank you. Bye.